I woke up before dawn to the acrid stench of burning oil, lungs tightening as I swung my legs over the side of the bed. My heart sank when I saw the blaze outside my picture window. Rusty, my beloved riding mower, was engulfed in flames. The fire cast dancing shadows against the lawn, and at its edge stood a cluster of smug figures residents with clipboards, whispering as though they'd done the world a favor. At their center was Linda Prescott, team lead of the Maplewood Meadows Association, arms folded over her designer cardigan, expression half apology, half delight, barefoot and clad in pajama pants. I stumbled outside, the morning dew chilling my feet as I took in the scene. Linda raised a hand in that faux sympathetic gesture that said, "This is what happens when you don't follow the rules." "I'm sorry, Mr. Harper," she said, voice saccharine. "You've had ample notice to remove any unapproved machinery from your property. A decision was made for you this morning." My pulse hammered so hard I could hear it. Rusty had been my constant companion through years of backbreaking labor. Now he was a pile of charred metal, smoke curling toward the sky. I wanted to scream, to throw a punch, but I was a marshal, trained to keep a level head. Instead, I whispered, "You burned my mower?" Linda's smug smile faltered. She and her minions exchanged glances, certain I'd fold. Instead, I turned on my heel and went inside. Behind my garage door, under a dusty tarp, lay my old uniform and badge, a reminder that I wasn't just any homeowner. 30 years as a fire marshal taught me two things: how fires start, and that unchecked authority climbs until it burns everything down. I grabbed my binder of inspection codes, thumbed through pages of safety regulations, and let a cold grin spread across my face. 3 weeks ago, it had all begun with a letter slipped under my door. A crisp, printed memo from the MMA with a stylized tree logo. "Dear Mr. Harper, as a resident of Maplewood Meadows, you are required to comply with all community guidelines. Violations include an unregistered utility vehicle parked in view, non-conforming landscaping, failure to pay annual association dues. Please remit fees and schedule an inspection by month's end or face enforcement measures. Sincerely, Linda Prescott." I chuckled when I read it. Dues inspection. My property. My home. Why should I bow to their whims? I tossed the letter onto the kitchen counter and shrugged. When a second letter arrived, this time fluttering onto my dog's back, I tore it up. Then the flyers started appearing on my windshield, in my mailbox, even taped to my mailbox post. They came in person soon after Linda Prescott with her compliance officer, Todd Miller, a man whose khaki pants were always perfectly pressed and whose clipped tone suggested he rehearsed every word. They showed up one Saturday afternoon, standing under the awning of my porch. "Mr. Harper," Linda said, lifting her chin. "We're here to help you bring your property into compliance." Todd started ticking off points. Lawn height exceeded 2 inches beyond regulation. Mailbox flag color, paving stones misaligned, and his final flourish, my mower was unauthorized equipment. I took a slow sip of iced tea and let them drone on. "It's a mower, Todd," I said with faux curiosity. "Not an eyesore." He cleared his throat. "All equipment must be registered and approved. Failure to comply leads to fines and removal measures." I raised an eyebrow. "Removal measures." Linda's lips twitched. "We have to maintain harmony." I let them finish and watched them leave, convinced they'd broken my spirit. They had no idea I was already drafting my response. Over the next days, I collected evidence. I snapped photos of propane tanks stacked illegally in neighbors' yards, trimmed hedges blocking hydrants, fences too high to let firefighters through. I printed them, tabbed the binder, and called my old partner at the department. Jess, I need an inspection for Maplewood Meadows. Hazards all over. The plan was set. Then Linda sent a final notice last chance to pay dues, enforce regulations, or be sued. I laughed as I held it between two fingers. They threatened legal action. They'd picked the wrong Marshal. Night fell quietly. I sat at my desk, loading security footage of Rusty's fiery end. Frame by frame, I watched the flicker of movement, a shadowy figure leaning close to the mower. Todd Miller's profile caught in the glow. A lighter in hand. I froze it on the screen, evidence of deliberate arson. The next morning, I poured coffee on my front porch as Todd and a handful of volunteers roamed the neighborhood like self-important sheriffs, clipboards in hand. They peered at every shrub and mailbox. Todd paused by my fence, scribbling furiously. I raised my mug in a mock salute. He sneered and moved on. I sat back and reviewed my binder one more time. Linda's kingdom was built on enforcing trivialities, all while ignoring real dangers. Blocked hydrants, unapproved electrical lines, stacked firewood too close to citing the sort of code violations that could turn Maplewood into a tinderbox. Mid-morning, fire crews arrived unannounced. Big red engines rolled down Maplewood Lane, sirens silent, lights flashing in broad daylight. Neighbors poured onto their lawns, confusion rippling through the street. Uniformed inspectors fanned out, measuring distances, marking hazards with fluorescent tags. Linda stormed onto the scene, face ashen. "What are you doing here?" she barked at Captain Riley, my old contact. He clipped his badge. "A routine inspection, ma'am. Observed multiple code violations reported anonymously. We're here to ensure public safety." She sputtered about trespassing, liability. He ignored her. Todd tried to slip away, but I intercepted him by his idling SUV. "Todd," I said softly, unlocking my phone. "Care to explain this?" I played the clip. His shoulders slumped as the grainy footage showed him crouched beside Rusty, a lighter in hand. His cheeks flushed as neighbors gathered behind us, eyes widening. "It was just orders," he stammered. "Linda told me to take care of it." "So you admit arson?" I pressed. He nodded, voice quivering. "I'm sorry. I turned to the onlookers. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Little League harassment turning criminal." Murmurs of shock rose. Linda stood frozen, her carefully constructed authority crumbling. An emergency HOA board meeting was called that afternoon. I walked in uninvited as the group argued over damage control. Faces drained of color as I revealed photos of neighborhood hazards and Todd's confession. No one spoke until I said, "You can resign the association now, or let public agencies handle the fallout." Linda's lips split into a grin that wasn't feigned. Hers was the choice. Within 48 hours, City Hall had revoked MMA's charter for gross negligence. Fines were levied on every household for real fire code violations. News crews descended on Maplewood Meadows. Former fire marshal exposes corrupt HOA conduct. read the banner. By week's end, Todd was charged with arson and obstruction. Linda faced lawsuits for conspiracy and endangerment. The MMA office sat padlocked, its records impounded by the fire marshal's office. Morning light returned to feel different. Neighbors replaced warning tags with welcome mats. Without the shadow of the association, people chatted freely on lawns, invited each other for barbecues, shared gardening tips. Kids rode bikes where clipboard holders once patrolled. I spent a Sunday rebuilding in my garage, assembling Rusty 2, a sleek zero-turn mower I'd ordered as a replacement. Its engine purred like a promise. Captain Riley popped by, thumb hooked in his belt. Never thought I'd see an HOA fall this hard, he chuckled. Need a hand with safety audits in other subdivisions. I wiped grease from my hands and smiled. Maybe later. For now, Maplewood's my project. I kicked off my boots and settled into my porch chair. Rusty 2, gleaming under the morning sun. For once, rules made sense. Clear lanes for fire trucks. Hydrants unobstructed. No hidden hazards. In the distance, I saw Linda Prescott moving boxes out of her townhouse. Shoulders hunched. No apology came from her, but I didn't need one. Justice, like a well-fought blaze, left no question who'd been in control, and as I revved the mower's engine and sent it humming across the now safe lawn, I thought, there's power in knowing fire, and even more in stopping it.